Hey everybody, in this video we are starting section 2 of chapter 1. Our chapter is linear equations and inequalities, and section 2 is applications and modeling with linear equations, and there are a lot of really cool word problems in this section. So let's get started with example 1, which is a geometry-based problem. Now, while the chapter gives its tips and advice on how to handle word problems, I'm just going to highlight a few key takeaways. 1, I don't want to read a word problem more than once if I don't have to, because I don't want to read it twice. And also, sometimes when you read it all the way through and then start thinking, you now have too much information in your head and it's hard to really focus. It's better to just think as you receive the information. So by the time you're done receiving the information, you can properly respond and you don't have to just, sit there with your mouth hanging open. Now, the other thing is how I do that is every time I get to a mathematical term, a number, a period, a comma, whatever, I'm going to pause. I'm going to analyze what it is I know, and I'm going to start to anticipate where it is the problem's taking me and how these things relate to each other and start writing things down as I go. And another thing that I would recommend is that you write a let statement. You actually write it down. What variable do you want to let equal something? And what is it you want that variable to represent? You have to write that down. Okay, that is the big difference between students who can do this well and those who just cannot. And they act like shocked and surprised every time they don't get the grade they wanted on a test or a quiz. Well, I'm not shocked. You don't have good habits. Those students who have those good habits are the ones that get those grades that you want, right? So why don't you act like that? I'm just saying, when you want to be a star athlete, you act like a star athlete. You try to mimic them. When you want to be a superstar of whatever type, you mimic it. You learn by recreating art before you learn to create your own art, right? You learn to read famous authors and analyze their writing before you can be a writer yourself. So you got to mimic the right way to do things. Let's go. If the length of each side of a square, all right, immediately I know I'm dealing with a square and I'm dealing with the length of the sides. So if it's a square, I know I have right angles and I know all of the sides have the same length. So here I am, and I'm going to probably name the side X. And if one side's X, right, that means all sides are X. I already got that from just those first few words. If the length of each side of a square is increased by 3 centimeters, well, now that square is no longer the same square, right? It's going to be a larger square. So now all of these sides are equal to each other. And now if I increase by 3, this side is now x plus 3, right? X plus 3 all the way around. A little extra, too much, but whatever. All right, the perimeter of the new square is, okay, perimeter. What is perimeter? Perimeter is the sum of all the sides. And I have 4 sides that are the same. So could I write x plus 3 plus x plus 3 plus x plus 3 plus x plus 3? Sure, if I was like a child, a little baby, but I'm not. I'm going to write like a grown-up over here, 4 times x plus 3, because that's just more efficient. That is the perimeter. Is the perimeter. That's a fact. Perimeter is 4 times the quantity of x plus 3. But if you read carefully and think about what you just read, if the length of each side of a square is increased by 3 centimeters, so I'm in this new square scenario, the perimeter of the new square is, so 4 times x plus 3, well, that's the perimeter. They're telling me that that is something else. What is it? It is any form of the verb to be or to have, especially the word is, often links back to the equal sign. 40 more than twice the length of each side of the original square. Yikes, that was a lot. Is 40 more than. That means I'm tacking on a plus 40 at the end. 40 more than. If it was 40 less than, then you're subtracting a 40 at the end. Okay? 40 more than twice the length of each side of the original square. Now, let's kind of go through this and highlight everything that we just found. Here's the word is. Here's the word is. What else do we have? 40 centimeters more than, 40 more than. It's right there. X is the length of each side of the original square. That's that. Twice. Twice. And what else do I have? How about some of these colors start to look alike? I want to make sure they look different. The perimeter of the new square. And there you go. We just wrote our equation. Well, now, what can I do with that equation? I don't know, solve something. Find the dimensions of the original square. So I'm looking for whatever x is, and I'm going to do x by x as my answer. That's what I'm looking for. So I can go over here and I could solve for x. So I have 4 times the quantity of x plus 3. So how do you handle that? Well, you distribute, silly goose. 4x plus 12 equals. Now this side is just the 2x plus 40, and I'm going to get all my x on one side and all my non-x on the other side. Subtracting 2x from both sides, I have 2x on the left. Subtract 12 from both sides, I will have 28 on the right. And divide both sides by 2, and you have x is 14. 14 is centimeters, so that means my final answer, the dimensions of the original, is 14 centimeters by 14 centimeters. Those are the dimensions. Always read the question though, because sometimes it's not asking you for the dimensions of the old square, the original square. They might be asking you the dimensions of the new square. They might ask you what is half the dimension of whatever. Like read the question, okay? And that's it for this problem. All right, so I hope that this approach gives you an idea of how to approach and how to tackle some of these word problems. If you want to see more, I'm going to put all these linear equation related things on a single playlist. So go ahead and poke around through that to see if you could find more of whatever it is you're looking for. And if you got it, and you did real good, go ahead and give this little latte ghost a thumbs up. If not, thumbs down. Questions, comments, concerns in the comment section, and we'll figure it out. That's it for now. Sayonara.